Do you want me to get the other rod out of the way? Nice colour as well.
Yeah.
Well done. So the first thing is to lay everything out where you know it is, because I don't know about you, but the number of times I've had a run, I've hooked a fish, and then I've come, where's my landing net? And I look round and it gives that fish the slightest bit of slack and rough. And you think, why didn't I put that properly? So what's good, a lot of people do, is they have a set way of laying out their swims. So that's something to think about. The other thing is obviously abide by fishery rules. Now Mark's very kindly come along with a retention sling, which I'm sure he'll show you if you want to have a closer look. But essentially when you catch a fish, if it's allowed by the fishery, you can put it in either one of these which has got a zip retainer, and the other type are the retention way slings, which I don't know if you've seen. They've got two bars that float, and this way sling goes underneath it, and sometimes they've got zips. So that helps with the handling of fish and also retention if you're allowed. A lot of fisheries, or some of the fisheries I fish at, they actually require you to have like a little bottle of carp disinfectant or medicine or whatever you want to call it. So sometimes I've got one in my bag from a place I fished catfish about 10 years ago. Only place that demanded I have it, and I've still got it in my bag. But if they're asked, obviously it's there. When you catch a fish, obviously stay as low to the ground as possible. And I know it gets challenging as you get older, but you don't really want to see pictures like this. Be low to the ground, because if you drop it, you should have a mat underneath it or catch it, and it's less force. Equipment. Now, we touched on this earlier. Because you can catch more than one fish in a quick succession, a lot of the tench fishers I know have two landing nets now. So I tend to have what I call my sort of general tench net, and then I tend to carry a bigger net, because you do pick up carp. And this is a nice little bit of kit again from one of our sponsors, Tackle Box. And I was actually fortunate. I won't put it all up, but that's a rubberized net, and this is an extendable pole. So I have two landing nets on the go all the time, because as Stuart said, sometimes you're lucky and you get a load of fish at the same time, and that saves a lot of grief, partly because if you've got a carp and you've got a small net, it's difficult. That you can pop it in there, and then you've got a choice because you've got two nets to go with. So mats. Obviously level as possible. If you haven't got one with walls, it saves the fish sliding off. Another important thing, especially in the summer, is one of these. Do you know what these are? They're just like a water bucket. And I got this quite a few years ago, but I was fishing a place where I was about 2 foot off the water. I couldn't reach the water to wash my hands. So having one of these is really good. But the other thing is, if you keep it near your unhooking mat in temperatures like this, before you put the fish on it, wet it. If it gets grass on it before the photograph, wet it. And this, you know, when I got it, I didn't use it for about 6 months, and then I started using it, and I haven't forgotten it since. It's a brilliant bit of kit. Different sizes now, but I like the small one because I don't like carrying a lot.
Just going on from that as well, I mean, I know it sounds like, you know, sort of teaching grown men to suck eggs, but I always tend to mention it. You get a day like today, try and keep your unhooking mat in the shade, because they get absolutely roasting hot, and if you were to drop a fish on there, it's serious damage to them. So try and keep them in the shade, and definitely keep that net.
Also on that note, sunblock. If you're sat in the sun, put sunblock on, wear a hat.
Yeah. Can I just jump in there, Chris, a bit about the water bucket? The water bucket will be on the side, sitting there in the sun. It gets hot. Refresh it every hour.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So get rid of the warm water, get cold water. So if you do catch a fish, you're not pouring water.
That's fair point.
Yeah, potentially. Yeah, good point, Steve.
It's interesting actually. When we were grayling fishing in the winter, so I digress for 2 minutes. If you've caught grayling, you know how difficult they are to hold.
Yeah.
And I was fishing with Duncan actually, funnily enough, on his syndicate water, and we were trying to work out. We were talking about why they wriggle so much when you try and pick them up, and he reckoned it was the heat from your hands.
Yes. Yeah.
So I hadn't really thought about it before.
I've got an addendum to that. I was fishing down in Wales with a mate of mine, and we were fishing this little river for grayling.
Yeah.
And what we found was, if you hold the fish like that,
Yeah.
it didn't wriggle half as much as if you held it
grab
like
it.
that.
This is true.
It was almost like the pressure on its sides was
Yeah.
what triggered it off.
But you know what grayling are like? You've got to be
Yeah.
quite confident
Yeah.
to do that.
You're juggling.
Yeah,
You
it
are.
is, yeah.
So just a very quick tip on the landing net. Sometimes I got this idea because I was fishing the water. The landing net didn't have a big drop, and I had a double carp in there, and I had to wedge the pole in between the bars of my seat just so it stood there with the fish in the water on the bank.
Yeah.
And afterwards I was thinking, what can I do to change that if I'm fishing by myself? So I thought about whipping something onto the handle, but you can get these things really cheaply online. And what I do is I tend to put a pin in there to hold it tight to the stick, but then you just put a peg through there and stamp it into the bank. So you've actually got, if you can imagine the table as the bank, you've actually got fish like that in the water, and you've got this holding it onto the
Yeah.
side of the bank, so it's not going to slide in. And obviously you can probably adjust it to how high off the water it is.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think this cost me about £2, and I got it in red so I could see it, the grass, but it may not be the best colour, but you can even make it yourself up, you know, something like that. But it's a little tip that
It is a problem.
I
Did you get
use.
that from a camping shop or where?
No, this was on eBay for about £2.
Amazon, they've got them. Yeah, they're a couple of quid. If you're fishing a sloping bank, it's great because it stops everything sliding.
If you're
Sort of reaching
barbel
around for the
fishing,
rod holder,
Yeah,
to
yeah.
weight it down, you know. Yeah.
On Chris's point with the landing net, how many videos have you seen with calf anglers doing that, trying to catch the fish because they've only got a 6-foot pole?
Oh yeah.
The
Yeah.
extendable poles are invaluable.
Yeah,
because
I agree with
you can
that.
get a 10-foot reach out of it.
Yeah.
and it's-
So it is quite
That's good.
trendy for carp fishermen to have these big cradles now, and I really don't want to go that far. It's too much to carry for me. But we've got these little, what we call fast mats, and a number of companies do, and this happens to be a 4-in-1. And have you seen these? You know,
Yeah.
okay. So they're a lovely bit
They're
of kit.
superb.
I'll just pop it out for you, and it just does that. It's a bit old now. It used to pop out much better, just like me.
My
really.
wife says.
There you go. So what you do is, the thing that you actually hold it is the mat. It's brilliant to sit on if you can get up and, you know, from kneeling. But that gives you a lovely little container. That will take a £20 carp, a £20
Yeah,
carp.
yeah,
Even bigger, yeah.
And one of the best things I found, which was totally unexpected, you know when you get a jack pike and it's wriggling all over the place,
Yeah.
they can't go anywhere. It's in there and it's really...
Eels, pike, they're such a good bit of kit.
yeah.
The other thing with these, on some of the Cora mats, I don't know whether you've got them on yours, they've got basically little lugs down here so you can peg them in, because when
Stops the wind blowing them away. I use the side thing.
But you
I'll
can
put
do that.
A peg in through there.
Yeah.
To stop
but
it.
because I've seen it before now, you've got a big carp in there, you turn around to do something and it'll go over, but if you just peg them down or get a pegging point on them, it
So,
saves.
so basically the procedure I'd sort of go through, and the other thing is, I'm a pretty lazy sort of person, and I don't like admitting it, but I am. And when I've caught a fish on the odd occasion, I leave it in the landing net. Now partly it was to rest it, but partly it was for me to get my head in gear about what I need to do, find the disgorger, make sure I knew everything, wet the mats, that sort of stuff. And what I found is with barbless hooks, quite often, if you leave the fish in the net for about 40 seconds, they unhook themselves.
They do.
It's fantastic, especially when I have to go and get my glasses now and try to unhook them.
Ain't you glad you ain't using a barbed hook?
Well, absolutely. And I was saying to someone the other day that I used to fish Gunsbury Lake in Brentford as a kid when I first started fishing, and it was very much lilies and things. And all we used to catch was lipless roach. And the number of small perch and lips that barbless hooks save, you know, I think they're worth it. But, you know, that's just my view. Obviously, other people like barbs. So basically you catch fish, wet your unhooking mat, unhook it, apply the gel if you need to, rest again if you know, it just gives you time to do your own stuff with the fish not gasping, re-wet it, stay low, pick up the fish for pictures, shoot as soon as you can. What a good tip is to set the camera on video, because then you can grab a frame, because sometimes if you're juggling a grayling for instance, you've got one where it's perfect, the shutter goes and it's mid-air.
Yeah.
So using video in that way can help you.
There's another thing on that, there's a lot of phone camera apps now you can get for free. I use one called Hey Camera, and basically when you're ready for your photograph, you just say to it photo and it takes it, or video and it takes it.
Anything like that, yeah.
Yeah, so
A
there's
lot of
whistle apps.
Better, yeah, it's better than having to whistle, isn't it?
Yeah.
A lot of phones do it automatically. You've got choices now. It comes with it.
Yeah.
A lot of phones. You
Yeah.
don't need an app. So 0 scales. Obviously, that's something to do. Now, one of the great things about Tenchfishers, amongst all the other great things, we have 2 meetings a year. Spring is AGM and winter, so just AGM. And we do scale checks. And you wouldn't believe the differences. And everyone swears their scales are correct.
Yeah.
And most of the Tenchfishers now use digital scales because even the really expensive spring ones
Yeah.
really aren't that good.
No, they're not.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is one of the most accurate £4 scales you can buy.
Correct.
Yeah,
I've got
They've
2
been
sets of them.
tested over and over.
That's
and
like a
over
luggage
again.
scales, isn't it?
It
Yeah.
is like, and
Yeah.
the reason why they're more accurate than fishing scales is their management of whatever they have to adhere to business-wise demands more accuracy than the angling world, and that's why luggage scales are often very good.
Yeah.
And they're about £4 on the south side, you know.
Yeah.
So
the same one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the same, well, it looks like the same one, doesn't it?
He's even done the same as me. Put it on the
they're
back.
so accurate that the guy who does the test now doesn't even bother because they're all just spot on.
Is it a particular make or?
No,
Just get them off eBay.
You can't, you
I'm just
can't
going to
miss,
go and take
you
a
can't miss
picture
it.
of the right one.
If you
Yeah.
take a picture of it,
I
That's
might
what I was
do
going to
that.
do.
I've just bought a new set of Corum,
What do
Yeah,
they,
look.
what do they
Yeah.
weigh
which
up
have
to?
just arrived this
Identical.
morning. I'm told.
70, I think.
70.
You can get
Yeah.
different weights, but you wouldn't really want to be holding
No.
that with a £70.
and then effectively,
Yeah, that's the only thing, isn't it?
all you have
I've
to
had a
do,
£34
Oh, that's the
carb
conversion
in there.
bit, is it?
yeah,
Okay.
Now,
So,
Yeah.
on that
mine like that.
on that basis,
I use
you
mine for
can
perch.
get
Just
them.
weighing
That sort of
grams.
thing.
Yeah, I can
No,
understand.
no, I was going to say.
And I ain't got no
they
fishing
weigh
tax.
pounds, but the point is point of a pound, not ounces.
Right,
Okay.
let me take that
Each point is
further.
1.6 ounces.
Yeah, let me take that further.
Go on then.
The modern ones you get will weigh in pounds and ounces. Adam Bojar, Tenchfisher, did the same talk at the masterclass we did a couple of months ago, and he provided everyone with a pound and ounce set of those scales. So you don't even have to do the little chart on the back now. You'll do kilograms and pounds and ounces. The ones I had were up to £70. But like I said, I wouldn't want to hang hold on to that. I'm too weak.
And then because you don't want to get them wet, I have a little clip-lock box. It's got a measuring scale, a camera tripod adapter for your phone, and those scales, and that's it there. You always dry. Grab it in your bag. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so the last thing you'll be pleased to hear, when you put the fish back into water, if you've got a sling, and I did have one here. Oh, there it is. Okay, I'll just take a picture of it.
Yeah.
So this is a very lightweight sling. I'm not going to just unfold it, but do you know the sort of thing I
can always do the boat.
Yes. Wet it first, obviously, and they're really good because they'll take
Sorry, John,
quite big
I'll take
fish
one as well.
away.
if I
Yeah,
might.
yeah, of
I
course.
wasn't going to, but I've just bought a new
You
thing.
can actually leave that in your
I
water
didn't want to get in the way
bucket,
of your photo.
ready to go.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Now, the very last things I was saying to you before the second time,
Thanks.
if you're alone and you get a dog walker to take a picture of your fish of a lifetime,
Oh, no.
before they walk away, check the photo. Just a little.
Quite often it's neck to waist
Yeah.
with a fish.
Yeah.
They take the picture of the fish, not you
Yeah,
and the fish.
it's
Okay,
No, I don't
so
do that.
so that's about it. I mean,
Friends take
we're all
pictures.
we're all full of little tips and things that
Tips
we
and
do
tricks.
unconsciously, but you might find of interest. Which I hope you found some of this of use to you. I'll leave now and let John take over with his.
And just sort of
rod.
save as well. There's no such thing as a daft question.
Can I just add, like what you've seen, it is quite overwhelming. So just find what works for you and stick to it. Because one angler will have one method, swear blind. Another angler will have another method, swear blind. It's just whatever works for you.
Yeah.
Always
Yeah, that's for sure.
try and make it better.
Yeah.
But confidence is such an important thing. If you're confident with what you're using, those moments when nothing's happening, you won't be like, oh God, I want to go home or I'm fed up with it. Confidence is a big thing, and we can give you confidence that those rigs we know work. Okay.
Yeah, I was just going to say, on that note, we know the kebab rig works time and time again. If you're not catching, it's because the fish aren't there. It's not because of the rig. It just means the fish aren't there. So go looking for the fish.
Right.
Just one little point is that we're not carpers. You want to know anything, we will tell you. We will not keep it secret.
100% open. Just ask.
You just ask any of us and we'll tell you anything that we know that you could possibly use that would help you in your tench fishing.
I just said, well, everybody was with a round of applause. There is no such thing as a daft question.
Yeah.
No,
If you feel you want to ask it,
You might
ask
get a
it.
daft answer though.
I didn't say that, but yeah.
And it really was just looking at the weather, having the opportunity and thinking, do you know what, everything's ready to go, let's go. The bait's there, everything's ready to go. So I always put it down to what I call the 6 P's, which I put in my in my working life, which is prior planning prevents something poor performance. I think it's an army thing that I learned years ago, but the more that you can plan and get ready at home, so you just think, oh, I've got to go to the tackle shop, or I haven't got any food, or oh, there's 101 other things going off. So it really is just taking that opportunity.
But what I found is that, like, obviously conservation's everything now. These bits of plastic, if you do it on your line, every time you finish fishing, you're cutting it off and you're wasting it and you're throwing it in the bin. But with this leader, well, this setup here, we'll call this bit here.
Little chod bead.
Yeah, kind of. It creates the chod effect. So basically, you've got that. It'll never tangle, and that'll come off if you lose. That'll come off over the knot.
What you'll find is pretty much from there back, it's horizontal. When you do that, this bit's doing nothing. It's flat, and all the casting action comes from this bit here. Okay.